Have you ever been just crushing it on your fitness journey? Let's say you're dialed in with your nutrition, you're crushing in the gym with your workouts, getting plenty of steps, drinking plenty of water, you're losing body fat, you're seeing great results, you're looking and feeling good, and then all of a sudden, life throws you a curveball. Maybe it's stress at home or at work, and it takes you off track. Maybe it's an injury and you can't work out anymore. Maybe you're traveling for vacation or work and it just seems like you just fell off course. Or maybe you got sick. And then you try to pick up the pieces from where you left off at, and it just seems like you don't have that motivation. You don't have that momentum. It seems so difficult and it's almost discouraging. Well, if that sounds anything like you, pay close attention because this video is really going to help you out. So, one of our coaching members, this is exactly what happened to him. It just seemed like everything was going well for him, and then all of a sudden he just got struck with life, right? And you know what I mean by that. He had his kids, baseball team that he was coaching. He had stuff at work, stuff at home, like all these different things where he couldn't put himself first anymore. And this went on for months where, he was getting really depressed because he was starting to lose everything that he was progressing with. All the weight loss, hey, he wasn't tracking his food anymore. He wasn't, doing his workouts anymore. He wasn't following through with our habits anymore, and he was falling off course. He would stop doing his check-ins, stop engaging with the community group, and this went on for, once again, months. He started to regain all this weight right back because all the knowledge, all the habits, it just went in one ear and out the other because he didn't know how to pivot. He didn't know how to shift. Now, I gave him a little secret that I'm going to help you out with as well because that might happen to you. But once again, you might be so consistent on your health and fitness journey. You're going to the gym, you're doing these workouts, right? You're focused on the nutrition, and we see this all the time. Think about New Year's resolutions, right? Why do you think 90% of them never actually are successful for people that want to lose weight? Because they have that shiny object syndrome. In the very beginning, it's that motivation, right? But they don't have the discipline. They lose the consistency, and they eventually go back to their old ways, typically by the end of February or March. So once again, pay attention because I'm going to share with you something so key here. It happened to help out our coaching member re-engage, refocus, realize here that, hey, he needs to value himself and prioritize himself. But once again, that could be easier said than done if you have all these different obligations and all these different things in your life that are also priorities, like work, your family. So once again, pay close attention, okay? So here's what I told him. Okay, is look into the future. Now, so many times we always want to look into our goals. Hey, I want to lose X amount of weight. I want to have more energy. I want to have more confidence. I want to get off my medications. And these are great. And those goals are amazing, once again, but you got to get to the root of it. And I always say it like that. Ask yourself why, at least 5, 6, maybe even 7 times. The deeper you get, the better. But sometimes it's very hard to get to the deep root of it. So instead of you focusing on the goals, focus on the pain. Focus on what you don't actually want. So here's a little thing to really help you wake up a little bit. Ask yourself this. If there was $1 million in the middle of the woods, would you run fast to collect it? There was a big neon sign that said, hey, first person here, right? You get to keep the money, no taxes, right? Yeah, of course, you're going to sprint. You're going to get that money, right? Like you want it. It's $1 million. Who wouldn't want that? Now, would you run faster if, let's just say, your son or your daughter was walking in the woods and there was a grizzly bear trying to, kill them, and they didn't even see it, and you had to go get their attention, you had to go save their life, right? You're going to run 10 times faster. That's your family. You care about them, right? So why am I telling you this? Because in general, right, and this is just how our minds work, people are always going to run farther and faster away from pain than they ever would towards pleasure. So sometimes you got to paint the picture, the negative, what you don't actually want in life, because that's going to make you take action. And here's exactly what you should do. And it's called a pain meditation. It takes no less than 5 minutes a day to do. You sit there, you visualize, right? And fast forward 10 years, 15 years, 20 years in the future of what it is exactly if you've been doing the same things, right? If let's say you haven't been working out, you haven't been tracking your macros, you haven't been focusing on your health, right? And you've just been stuck and maybe gaining some weight. Okay, Fast forward 10 years. What is your life going to look like then? Is it more medications? Is it now you're a type 2 diabetic? Maybe, who knows, you're a below knee amputee, or you got some fingers or some toes that were cut off because of, blood clots because of diabetes, because that's a real thing. Like, these are serious things that happen all the time. Maybe it's your kids following through into bad habits, and now they're depressed because they're overweight. They can't find a significant other. Like, they're just, once again, they're struggling now with mental health. And it's because of us. Because let's face it, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So this is the thing that we don't want, which means, hey, if we don't want it, it's a pain. It's going to make us do something about it right now in the present moment. So that's the first tip right there. Is focus on what you don't want. And trust me, as soon as you close your eyes and you can visually clearly see that in 10, 15, 20 years, what you don't want, you might get pissed off. You might get mad. And those emotions are great for helping you take action. Because when you get out of that meditated state, like anything, you're going to start doing some push-ups, some sit-ups. You're going to go for a walk. You're going to be more mindful of the foods that you're putting into your body. So just keep that in mind. That's the first thing, is a pain meditation in the future of what you don't want. Okay? Now the second one is very important. It's the domino effect. Okay? And this is where a lot of guys struggle. They will go from crushing their habits, meaning like they're tracking all their macros, right? They're dialed in with their calories. They're staying in that deficit, hitting the protein. They're doing all the right workouts, getting their steps in, drinking plenty of water, getting plenty of sleep. They're crushing all the habits that we focus on teaching them at Heartletics. Side note also, if you're watching this on YouTube, and if you want to see a behind the scenes of how our coaching program works, I put together a free training guide that's actually going to share with you 3 simple tips on how to lose anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds of fat all within the next 12 weeks. And you can simply find that guide if you're watching this on YouTube in the description box down below. It's completely free. Go ahead and take a look, okay? So now, once again, people are so dialed in. They're just crushing it with the habits. And then life throws them that curveball, as we mentioned, whether that's stress and injury, sickness, travels, whatever the case may be. So what happens is they're dialed in, and then they fall off course. Maybe it's like a few weeks, maybe a few months, whatever the case may be. And then they try to go back to who they were before. The guy that was consistent with everything. The guy that's crushing in the gym, crushing it with his habits, tracking everything under the sun, like so dialed in. They try to go right back to who they were before, but they don't have the momentum, right? Remember, they fell off track. So what happens is they try to do that for a day or two. They don't have the right, once again, consistency to maintain that, and then they fall off. And then when they fall off track again that second time, typically they get very discouraged because they start brainwashing themselves and telling themselves, man, it's so hard for me to do this again. It's so hard for me. I tried to get right back to where I was. It's so hard. Wrong mindset, right? The right mindset, and this is tip number 2, is the domino effect, right? How do you do with dominoes, right? You stack them up, you press the first one, right? You tip it over, and beam, 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 it goes down the line, right? And eventually, right, if you ever watch those like cool YouTube videos where it's like small dominoes, and then it's like this big, huge, massive domino, how does it actually do that? It's not like the small little domino hits that big domino and falls over. No, it gradually goes up. So what do you need to focus on? What is the small daily wins that you can focus on that's so easy? Click, right? You're just pressing that domino. And maybe that's you just drinking more water for that day. Maybe that's you just, getting more steps in. Maybe that's you just doing more push-ups. Whatever the case may be. Nobody's saying you need to do backflips and burpees and go back to the all-star that you were before. No. Like, that actually hurts us rather than helps us. Because once again, if we can't stick with it, we don't have the right consistency, we don't have the right momentum built up, it's very easy for us to fall off track again. And then we get very discouraged and tell ourselves, it's not possible. I can't do that again, right? Like, it's too hard. Wrong mindset. So start off small, right? That is the key with the domino effect. Now let's get into tip number 3. And tip number 3, honestly, this is the game changer. This helps out everybody, and I don't care who you are. It's the right form of accountability and support. So with our member, he realized here, hey, if I continue doing this, it's going to be bad. I need help. I can't do this alone. And most of the time, right, it's that pride, it's that ego in all of us that says, hey, I got this. And like in AA, right, they say that's the 3 words of death is I got this. Because you're stating now that hey, you have full control. And typically you don't. Nobody ever does, right? So when it comes to actually getting professional help and actually getting to where you're trying to get to, you got to admit that you cannot do it by yourself. And it's nothing more than like that ego and that pride that makes us, especially guys, right? That it's like, oh, we're not masculine anymore. Oh, we're not strong. It's a sign of weakness. And, we're ashamed and we're embarrassed because we're admitting for help. And nobody ever thinks that except for just the noise between our ears. We need to get out of our own head. We need to get back into our heart. You see, when you have the right form of accountability and support, it's always going to be very accepting, right? Meaning like, hey, dude, we missed you, right? Come back in, right? You see, when you have the right form of accountability and support, it is a complete game changer, right? And this is what I always tell our coaching members is you want to get the best results? Join the community groups, right? Join the live coaching calls. Do your check-ins. Like, be a part of this because it's not just you on this island all by yourself anymore. And I don't care who you are, no one succeeds by themselves. You can look at Michael Jordan, and we can hands down say he's the greatest basketball player to ever play, in the game. Well, guess what? If he didn't have teammates, if he didn't have coaches, if he didn't have trainers, it was just him, 1 against 5, would he be the best? Absolutely not. If you went out to war all by yourself with a small little pistol against a big, huge army, would you survive? Probably not. It's the same thing on our health and fitness journey. It's the same thing on our personal development journey. It's the same thing with anything in life. You got to make sure that you have the right form of accountability and support and community. And so with this member that fell off track, he knew, hey, I got to get my butt back involved. And so he did. He started making more posts. He started sharing some of his wins. He started sharing some of stuff going on in his life for accountability purposes. And guess what? All the other members at Heartletics flooded him with praise and support and guidance and encouragement. And now he's back on track. So remember, I'm just going to quickly recap these 3 things that you need if you ever fall off track. Right? Don't ignore this because this is the secret sauce. Trust me. Okay? The first one is focus on what you don't want. You need to have that pain, right? Because that's going to motivate you. That's going to fuel the fire. That's going to get you to where you're trying to get to in life, right? With your goals is pain, right? The pain that you're trying to avoid. So focus on that. Paint the picture. Make it dirty. Make it nasty. Make it completely like, I don't want that because that's going to make my life suffer and suck and probably my kids' life as well. The second thing, start small. The domino effect. Remember, how do you get that big, huge domino? You start with the first one. That's it. Baby steps. Don't try to go back to where you were with crushing it. Right? Just start off small. Right? Get right back on the horse. Okay? And lastly, third, you need to have the right form of accountability and support and guidance. Community, I like to say, that's going to make sure that, hey, you're getting everything that you need to build up that momentum to getting back to where you were and then some to fill up your cup so you can be more of an asset to pour more onto others. So once again, I really hope that you guys got some value from today's video. And if you want access to that 3-step training guide that I have for you in the description down below, if you're watching this on YouTube, check it out. It's going to go over more tips and tricks on how to lose fat and build muscle for your body type. And that's it, guys. This has been Coach Joe with Heartletics.com. If you got any value at all, make sure to leave a comment down below, letting me know your feedback. And as always, I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace out, Girl Scouts.